Well, hello and welcome back to Scotland and this beautiful hippie wigwam in the middle of the countryside. We're currently in the middle of hosting our Mindful Creative Retreat, and I wanted to sit down and share something with you all. Something that happened this morning that was a truly immersive experience that I learnt so much from, and I found it deeply connecting, and it totally resulted in me having all these incredible ideas, feeling very grounded, very connected, both with myself, with nature, and with the people who I'm sharing this week with. And I wanted to sit down and share this with you all because I feel it's something that we can all put into our own work, whether that's photography or any other creative outlet that many people may have, whether that's writing, painting, storytelling, poetry, whatever your creative outlet may be. This is something that I am realizing every creative person taps into, and it is such a beautiful thing to look at. And this really, what I want to speak about today is the idea of using our senses. Really using our senses. I don't just mean being aware of your five senses and just going about life as you do. I mean really tuning in to your senses. And as a photographer, as most of you watching this video will be, we're very much aware of the importance of vision and our eyesight and about looking around us to find photographic opportunities. But I've been wondering a lot recently about how many of us photographers actually really connect with our other senses. And I'm realising, probably over the last year or so, that my ability to tap into my other senses and connect with nature through them has been heightened quite considerably. And in connecting more with these other senses, I've noticed that my photography and my creativity has changed quite dramatically as a result. And this morning we were out doing a workshop with one of my friends called Jen, who's a breathwork teacher, and she's also a life coach, and she's trained to teach people how to do breathwork in a way that's beneficial for our body, in a way that helps us regulate our oxygen and carbon dioxide levels, that suppresses our nervous system so that we're not constantly stressed and anxious, and that allows us to really connect with our body and slow everything down so it's really in sync. And we were in the woods this morning doing all these breathwork techniques, and we were journaling, and we were doing loads of gratitude work and really filling up ourselves with a lot of positivity. We were trying to think about what are we grateful for in life, what are we proud of in ourselves, what have we achieved so far this year, and setting intentions for the week ahead. And while we were doing this, we were really being encouraged to connect with our senses. And today, what really struck me was how tuned in I was to sound, and we all picked up on this. So it's a very windy day today. You may hear the trees hitting my wigwam as I'm doing this, and the wind swirling around outside. It's a very windy day today. So we're in the woods, and you've got that really loud sound of the trees being blown around by the winds. But also right now, with it being spring, the sound of bird song was immense. There was all of these birds flitting around the air and chirping and making their different calls, and we were all picking up on the beauty of this and how that mishmash and sounds of the birds communicating was sort of being connected with that sound of the trees and that sound of the wind, and it was like nothing else mattered in that moment. You were able just to completely switch off, deep breathe, and connect with those sounds. And what I realised through doing this was how this exercise really impacts creativity. And one thing I'm realising by tapping further into my senses is that I'm becoming more aware of things around me that I've never really noticed before. So I have this exercise that I want to share with you all that I think will really help you in your own creative endeavours, whatever they may be. So this exercise involves going out into nature and just completely allowing your mind to settle and allowing your senses to be truly switched on. Now, I'm no breathwork teacher, so I'm not going to teach you how to do breathwork, but if you want to add the breathwork element into this, I'd highly recommend it, because it really helps you to calm down your body, calm down your mind, and allow you to actually focus your senses on what's going on around you. So if you want to learn how to do breathwork, there's several breathwork teachers out there. You can watch YouTube videos on it, you can find things on Spotify that do meditations and breathwork through that. You know, there's so much information out there nowadays on how to teach yourself to do breathing exercises. And if you're lucky enough to have somebody near you who does workshops, I'd highly recommend going to them, because physically getting together with a group of people and doing breath work like we did this morning is it really heightens that experience. And giving yourself that time to be physically present with other people to do it, I often find when you're learning it, can be more beneficial than trying to do it at home on your own. As you master the technique of breath work, it becomes like second nature. But when you're learning it, I feel like having that interaction with others and having a teacher with you is in many ways the better option. So learn these breathing exercises if you feel drawn to do so, but you don't have to. But what I would suggest is going into nature. Next time you go out with your camera, go out with your notebook, go out with your paintbrushes, whatever you may do, sit down and find somewhere that you feel comfortable sitting. Now, this morning some people sat on benches or picnic tables, other people sat on the floor, on tree stumps, that sort of thing. I would encourage you, if you feel able to physically sit on the ground, whether that is on something like a tree stump, on sand, on a ledge, you know, whatever it may be. But if you're physically sitting on the ground, you are connecting more with the Earth's magnetic field, and that's having a positive impact on your body and making you feel more connected to nature. Just simply that act of physically sitting on the ground, it can do wonders for us. So find somewhere that you feel safe sitting, that you feel comfortable, and then close your eyes. And if you feel able to do this, keep your eyes closed for 10 minutes. Take some deep breaths in and out. Learn the breathwork techniques of how much to breathe in, how much to breathe out, when to hold, all these things that you can find online. There are several different breathing techniques out there, so find one that works for you. But the purpose is to take some deep breaths, to regulate your breathing, to switch off your mind. And because you've got your eyes closed, one of your senses is gone, so it allows you to tune in your hearing to what's going on around you in nature. And just listen. Listen to the wind blowing through the trees. Listen to the leaves rustling. If you're at the seaside, listen to the waves crashing or lapping to shore, depending on what the weather's doing. Listen to the birds flying around, or any other insects or animals that may be going about. Can you hear the distant rumble of traffic in the distance? Just take it all in. And just do this for 10 minutes. Just keep breathing, keep your eyes shut, keep connecting with what's going on around you and listening. And then when you open your eyes, do it very slowly. Blink your eyes and then open them. And then instantly you'll start to see things that you hadn't seen before. And this morning when we did this, I've done this for a long time. I've been practicing mindfulness pretty much my whole life without knowing it. And breath work is something I've been working on for a few years now. So I've been doing this for a long time. So for me, when I opened my eyes, naturally I was being drawn to things that I've been getting drawn to for a while now. But there's people in the group who'd never done anything like this before, and suddenly they were looking up at the trees because they were hearing the wind rustling through them, and they were looking up and they were seeing how tall the trees were, how beautiful their trunks were and their branches were, and suddenly they were feeling drawn to take photographs of them or to write about them. There was other people who were just so in tune with the bird song, and they started looking around to find the birds that were flitting about and finding them within the branches, and they were just fully immersing themselves in that experience. And again, they were seeing elements of nature that they'd never seen before. And it's just because they took that time to stop walking, to stop, to switch off one of their senses, to deep breathe, to connect with their body, to switch off their mind, and then just listen. And this is something that I'm progressing forwards with in my own work, but also something that I'm beginning to teach through my workshops and stuff, is this idea of connecting with all of your senses. So as I said, photography is a very visual thing, but But actually, when you can switch on your other senses, and I'll speak about other senses in future videos, but for this one, if you can switch on your hearing, you suddenly uncover new photographic opportunities that you never knew existed before. If you can start hearing things that are going on around you, you can start feeling drawn to things. Maybe there's a boat chugging along in the sea and you can listen to that and get rid of all the other noise in your head and feel drawn to it. Like I say, birds and animals are a really good example of this. But even the waves, if you're at the beach and you can switch off your other senses, or especially your sight, and listen to the waves, you eventually learn the pattern of those waves, which then when you get your camera out, you're more in tune with the flow of the waves and you're more likely to get that shot. And if you've never tried this before, you might be thinking, don't be ridiculous. But trust me, if you get rid of your sight, the main sense that we use for photography and for most creative outlets, if we can remove that for a short period of time and just listen, especially when we're in nature, things just start happening. We start connecting to things, and it makes us much more creative beings, much more connected beings, and it is so beautiful. And because we had this beautiful experience this morning in the woods, and people who had never experienced this before were doing it, and just seeing the joy on their faces as they were connecting with new things and noticing new things and just slowing down from their normal stressful lives, it was such a powerful thing to do. So next time you're out, even if you're just out for a walk, not necessarily doing anything with your camera or your journal or whatever you may be doing, just sit down somewhere. Stop walking, because you don't realise that when you're walking, you're making so much noise, your clothes are rustling, you're scuffing your feet along the ground, and while you're doing that, you can't fully hear what's going on around you. So find somewhere to sit, take some deep breaths, close your eyes, and just listen. And I promise you that your creativity will be massively heightened as a result. If you're a writer and you've got writer's block, just go out into nature, shut your eyes, sit still, and connect with those sounds. And instantly, or maybe not instantly, but after 10-15 minutes, you'll start to have new ideas. You'll start to quiet your mind down, and you'll begin to have interesting revelations or interesting, like I say, ideas for projects. And it's so powerful. Just taking that time to sit and connect with nature. It naturally instills us and encourages us to be more creative. And I just wanted to share that with you today, this beautiful experience we had this morning with our ability to hear things in nature, and how that's then gone on to inspire us, to calm us down, to connect us with ourselves, our creativity, and of course the natural world. So if this is something you do regularly or something you're going to try, let me know in the comments below how you get on with this experience. Or if it's something you do regularly, let me know, how does it impact on your life, and do you find that it is such an incredibly inspiring and immersive experience like we experienced this morning? Because it's such a beautiful thing to do. Because nothing in life allows us to grow more than experience, than putting ourselves out there to meet new people. Meeting new people is one of the most amazing things you can do. Getting away from the people who are in your life every week and meeting new people, listening to new perspectives, and sharing energy with different people, it's transformational. And on top of that, being able to do something like a retreat where you are sharing that experience with each other, sharing what you're struggling with, sharing what you're working through, but just that, even if you don't feel like you can open up about your life, just sharing that experience with a group of people, I promise you, you will never forget it, and it will allow you to grow as a person.